everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk. I am your host, John, and this is the monthly video where we count down all of the films that I saw in the month of June from worst to first. That includes films that I've seen in theaters, films that I've revisited many times over, old films that I've never seen before. I'm going to put them all head-to-head against each other and make a list. I believe I saw 37 films this month, so I'm not going to waste any of your time because that's a lot of films to rank, and we're going to start at the bottom, and that film is going to be 1988's Hobgoblins, and this is a director's recommendation from Frank from Frank's Media Reviews, and I enjoyed this film. You know, it's one of those movies that's so bad it's good, but if I had to put a film that was absolutely the worst film I saw in June, unfortunately, it is Hobgoblins. The next one up is The Stepfather from 2009, the remake. We're doing a video here on the channel, a video you guys probably saw yesterday, and if you haven't seen it, check it out, where me and my cousin Dennis, the host of Original versus Remake, we did The Stepfather. We put the original one against the remake, and unfortunately, the remake is just not good in my opinion. That's why it's the second worst film I saw this month. Next one up is Jurassic Park 3. It hurts me to put Jurassic Park 3 this low on the list, but Jurassic Park 3 on my rewatch, I just really didn't enjoy it. There was so many plot holes. This movie is still very ugly to look at. I don't care if you play the Jurassic Park theme that many times. It doesn't make that movie that much better. It just, unfortunately, it loses a little bit of the heart. It's trying to play with your emotions and your nostalgia for the first Jurassic Park film, but you just can't do it. And unfortunately, this film still does not work for me. I remember enjoying it more the last time I watched it, but this time, all those negative emotions came running back, and unfortunately, I have to put this one pretty damn low. And next up was another channel recommendation from our channel director, Uncle V. He wanted me to review Terror Firmer from Troma. This is the 1998 film, or 1999 film, you know, directed by Lloyd Kaufman. This is basically what I said is Troma's version of Scream. It's very meta, it's very on the nose, it's very much of the 1990s, but it's got that Troma look to it, that Troma appeal. It's very low budget, very campy, very cheesy. If you're into that sort of film, you're going to really appreciate this one. I still think Troma's best film is The Toxic Avenger, but this would be number 2 for me right now. I really enjoyed it. It's got a lot of heart behind it, and that can go a long way with me. Next up is Thunderball, and you guys haven't seen my 4K Blu-ray review for this one yet, but this is the last James Bond film I watched in the Sean Connery collection. I still got 2 more to go, but I was pretty disappointed this time around with Thunderball. It's not a bad James Bond film. You know, I enjoy all the Sean Connery films. It's just this one was pretty weak in the first 4, mainly because I think they got really excited for the underwater sequences, and they probably should have trimmed those down because those bored me to tears this time around. And, you know, we spent a lot of time there. We spent a good sequence in the middle of the movie, and then the third act, for the most part, takes place underwater, and it just really drags the film down. Even though there's some great one-liners, we really have mastered the formula. Who doesn't love Blofeld? I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in Thunderball, but unfortunately, if I'm comparing it to the other James Bond films, this one is pretty low on the list. And next up, 1997's The Lost World of Jurassic Park, the first sequel. I know a lot of people love this movie. I'm just not one of those people. I enjoyed it, though. I really did this time around. I had a good time watching it. Me and my wife watched it. Got nostalgic feelings for 1997. That was a big summer in my life. Men in Black, Batman and Robin. You know, Batman and Robin, also not a good film, but hey, back in the summer of 97, there was just something about those marketing campaigns that really stood out that you just don't get nowadays. I wish we did, but we just don't, and it made you excited for a film, and I was so excited for The Lost World. I just wish I loved the movie as much as I was excited for it back in 1997. Next up is 1987's Rampage, directed by William Friedkin. And this is a William Friedkin film that I had never seen before. I wanted to do a live show where I ranked all of William Friedkin's films from worst to first, but unfortunately it just ended up being a very busy month with the Jurassic Park trilogy on 4K, the Sean Connery collection, and just so many other releases like Brazil and Sorcerer. I mean, there was so much that came out in June. The Nice Guys. I didn't get to watch that much William Friedkin movies. Sorcerer is actually a William Friedkin movie, so that actually kind of worked out. I got to watch the new 4K Blu-ray and watch a William Friedkin movie. But Rampage is interesting because not only does it star Michael Biehn, but this movie took years to come out after it had been filmed. Something happened with the studio that funded this movie, and it just kind of had been sitting on ice for a very long time. And it's a good movie. It's not one of William Friedkin's best. It's got some interesting concepts. A lot of it actually takes place in the courtroom, which I didn't expect, but some of the stuff's where we actually see a guy on a rampage. Some of the darker stuff you'll see in film, and you know, it's an interesting film. If you're into William Friedkin, I can definitely recommend checking it out. Just not one of his best. Next up, Predator, Killer of Killers. Now, this came out early in June. I remember people were psyched about this because it's directed by the same guy, Dan Trachtenberg, who's giving us not only the new Predator movie, the new live-action Predator movie, that's Battlelands, something that's coming out later in the year. I know I'm getting that name wrong. And He's also the same guy who gave us Prey, the last Predator movie. So in between that, he made an animated movie. And this animated movie is definitely, I think, aimed a little bit more, like it's an adult animated film, but I feel like you can watch this with like teenagers, maybe even like 11 or 12-year-olds. It's interesting. I think it kind of devalues the Predator character a little bit, but overall, very enjoyable. The animation didn't really work for me. That's why I have it this low, because people were raving about this. I think I went into it with too high expectations. Like, you know, there wasn't really too much marketing for any of this at all, so I shouldn't have gone into it with these high expectations. But I mean, it was getting critically acclaimed, and then it just came and went. And I went into it and I was expecting, like, I don't know why, like a great animated film, and it was just a good animated film. That's all it really was. I don't think I'll ever watch it again. It's just fine. Next up, if you guys saw a list we did earlier this month, we also talked about, Dennis and I, the top 10 movies we wanted to revisit. I haven't watched Spider-Man 2, or Spider-Man 3 since Spider-Man 3 came out in theaters in 2008. Walked out of that theater with such disgust, I never went back to Spider-Man or Spider-Man 2, but I always wanted to, so I went back and rewatched the original Spider-Man from 2002, which I saw in theaters back in the day. Loved it at the time. I remembered the entire film, and I enjoyed it. It's obviously not something I still love. I think a lot of you guys know I'm not the world's biggest Spider-Man fan. I still believe that the Spider-Verse movies are the best Spider-Man films, and those are animated. So when it comes to the live-action Spider-Man films, you know, I've always usually been like one and done, but these were a big part of, like, I was 10 years old when this movie came out, have great memories with it. It was fun to revisit it, but still not absolutely in love with it. Next up, the James Bond film that started it all, Dr. No. And this is always just fun to go back because it's seeing where James Bond got started. Given I know it's not the first James Bond film, but this is the first James Bond film in the James Bond franchise. The first one with Sean Connery. It's an important film, but of course we hadn't perfected the formula, right? We're starting to build that foundation. It's all coming together, but it's going to take some time. And you can notice those holes there at the time, at the beginning of it. And unfortunately, the film doesn't hold up as well as you would hope it would in comparison to other Sean Connery Bond films, or just any other James Bond film in general. But it is so important, and it does have some great moments. I still have to have it on the list at this high. Next up, the Dawn of the Dead remake. And the 2004 remake, this is obviously one I watched for the video that Dennis and I did, where we did the Dawn of the Dead original from 1978, which, as you can tell, is a little bit higher than this, and the 2004 remake directed by Zack Snyder. I enjoy this movie, I really do, but of course, it's not one that I like as much as the original. The original is one of my favorite zombie films of all time, but the remake is good as well. I enjoy it. It's got its moments as well. You know, it's a little bit more kinetic, fast-moving zombies. The opening scene is iconic, one of the best opening scenes. I forgot how good that opening scene is, but this is where I place it on the list. Next up, I got Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. At number 26, I expected this to be way up on my list. I didn't get to see this one in May, so this was actually the first movie I saw in June, and I was pretty let down by it, honestly. This one, I felt like they were just really trying to connect all the Mission Impossible movies. They're trying to answer questions from Mission Impossible 3, connecting stuff in Mission Impossible, and just doing all that. It's fan service to the nth degree. It's too much. This is something I expect from Disney. This isn't something I expect in the Mission Impossible franchise, where all the movies, no matter what, you could watch them on their own. You weren't thinking about the other Mission Impossible films. I understand that, like, Rogue Nation is connected to Fallout, and then Fallout leads into Dead Reckoning Part 1, which leads into this one. But still, they always felt like they were their own unique vision. And unfortunately, when you try and do a film like this, which I really love Dead Reckoning Part 1, I just feel like they jumped the shark too much in this movie. Even though it has two great stunts, some of the screenplay is just absolutely ridiculous, and I was very let down by this film. Even though it's still a good Mission Impossible film, there are no bad Mission Impossible films, even Mission Impossible 2. This is one you had to see it on the big screen. That's why I made sure, even though I couldn't go the weekend before, that I went out and saw this one. I'm glad I did, because the stunts are absolutely incredible. Still a great time at the movie theaters. I was just a bit let down by this one. We'll talk more about that in the 4K Blu-ray review. Next up, I got 2001's Gosford Park, directed by Robert Altman. My wife wanted to watch Knives Out, and I feel like we've abused that too much, so I wanted to show her this movie, Gosford Park. I've only seen this movie one time. Very interesting. Robert Altman knows how to, you know, balance a big ensemble cast. This is a murder mystery movie that the murder doesn't happen for a good amount of time into the movie, which really lets the film develop its characters, and I think that's one of the best parts of this film. All the characters in this film, all faces that you recognize, especially my wife pointing out all the people who appear in this movie who are also in the Harry Potter franchise, so that's always fun. It's got a couple of great twists and turns. Definitely one of the best murder mystery movies. Just, you know, it's not as fun as movies like Clue, but it's not trying to be. It's still a great Robert Altman film. Some people might think this is a little bit low, but I think it's just right. Next up is a movie I just saw yesterday because I wanted on the list, and that was F1 starring Brad Pitt. I was excited to see this because it's directed by Joseph Kosinski, who's the same guy who gave us Top Gun Maverick, so it's really felt like Days of Thunder to the original Top Gun, where people said, all that Days of Thunder is Top Gun on wheels. And they were right. I love that. That's two great Tony Scott films that star Tom Cruise. Now, in this case, this is definitely the Days of Thunder version of Top Gun Maverick. We hit a lot of the same story beats. We swap out Tom Cruise for Brad Pitt. There's even rumors now, because Tom Cruise was on the red carpet, that we could get a crossover between Days of Thunder and F1. And I'm there for that, because Joseph Kosinski is definitely carrying on the legacy of Tony Scott. I mean, this is still a Jerry Bruckheimer film, so it's produced by him. Feels a lot like that. The best part of this movie, though, is Javier Bardem. He even outshines everybody in this film. He's clearly having a good time. He got the message of what this movie is. It's a classic summer blockbuster through and through. I had a blast watching it. The product placement given, this is a movie funded by Apple. It's basically a big promotion for F1. I shouldn't be that upset. But the product placement for Heineken non-alcoholic in this film drove me insane. It would distract me, the amount of times people are drinking Heineken NA, or the amount of times it's on the wall. It's everywhere throughout this film. They must have paid a good amount of money, Heineken, but it's extremely, extremely distracting. It's like Jurassic World, Transformers level distracting. And, you know, for this movie, which is pretty damn good quality, despite it being very tropey, I just felt like that really would knock it down a little bit. But I guess, you know, for a movie that costs about, the rumor is like $300 million, you got to recoup some of that money somewhere if it's not going to be all at the box office. Although this movie has been pretty successful at the box office, it's just a little bit distracting. And this one was overly distracting. And overall, it's a good movie, but it wasn't as good as Top Gun Maverick, which, you know, that's a high bar to hit in my opinion. Next up, another Bond film, From Russia with Love. This is the sequel to Dr. No, the second one. And this is really where the formula really starts to come together. Sean Connery's second time in the role. This is the second time we're hearing about Spectre. The story is very interesting. Robert Shaw is a great, great henchman in this movie. Overall, just a very good Bond film. The train sequence is iconic for a reason. You hadn't seen anything like that before, so you got to kind of put yourself in this movie's shoes of the time. I think it worked. It's a great Bond film. Next up is another new movie I saw in theaters this month, and this came from the guys who gave us Talk to Me, two YouTubers who made a film. I love Talk to Me. I thought that is one of the best horror films to come out in the last 10 years, so I was psyched for this movie. Now, the only thing is, if you guys remember how they were dealing with grief and death in Talk to Me, you know, it gets very serious, but overall the movie is still pretty light, pretty fun. They're doing a lot of cool stuff with the camera. Well, they're doing all that stuff that they did in Talk to Me, but the movie itself, tonally, is much, much, much darker. Very, very, very depressing. It's a hard one that, even though I'm interested in rewatching this film because I'm a sicko, I can see why other people might not. There's even stuff in this movie, like someone chewing on a knife that, man, you know, gets under your skin, but they really went for it. It's just that it's such a dark movie with the subject matter that they're talking about. Let's look at the title, Bring Her Back. When you watch the movie, you completely understand why it's titled that, and it's just extremely, extremely sad. Good movie, though. Very, very well crafted. Just, you know, if you were going into this expecting Talk to Me tonally, you're not going to get that. Next up is You Can Count on Me. I wanted to watch this one because at the end of July, the new 4K Blu-ray from Criterion is coming out. And I also heard, I watched The Big Picture, and they were doing a 2000 movie draft, and this went pretty early. And I was like, I haven't seen that. And it stars Mark Ruffalo, so I'm like, I'll check it out. It's a really good movie. I might grab the 4K at the Criterion 50% off sale that's going on right now. Haven't decided yet because I just watched it, but I do want to eventually rewatch this movie, which I didn't think after initially watching it. But this is a really good drama. You know, it's dealing with a brother and sister who lost their parents early in their life, both of them taking different routes in their life, but both of them still struggling. It all really comes from that trauma of when they were kids, and it's just how they deal with it now. It's a great relationship movie between siblings. If you have siblings, I'm sure you can relate to this. I don't have as close of a relationship with any of my siblings, sadly, because, you know, I have a bunch of them compared to, like, they just have each other, but still, it's very relatable, and it's a great movie. Next up, one of the most underrated comedies of all time. I was just in the mood to watch this movie because I was quoting it all month. And that's Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. This is a 2007 comedy, a spoof of all of those music biopics, mainly of the time. Ray, Walk the Line, those are the two big ones, but all of them of the time that we're getting. And it still holds up 18 years later because the music biopic formula still gets used to this very day. I mean, there's a reason why Rami Malek won Best Actor a few years ago for playing Freddie Mercury. It's because this formula works. And, you know, you take it and you spoof it, it works even better. Some of the songs they sing, Let's Duet, is some of the funniest some of the funniest spoof songs I've ever heard, right up there with some of Weird Al's best. John C. Reilly was born to play this role. It's a hidden gem. If you've never seen it, I can highly recommend it. Next up, the original Lilo and Stitch from 2002. You know, the new one came out in theaters, which is basically just a live-action remake. It put me in the mood to watch the original. And the original one, it's still great. Still one of Disney's best of the early 2000s. You know, this was kind of at the tail end of the Disney Renaissance, but this one is a gem. It's a big one for a lot of people. There's a reason why my wife has Stitch tattooed on her arm. Next up, Tombstone. Watch this movie for the podcast with me and David, a.k.a. Shamrock Balls, the Let's Talk Movies podcast. It's always fun to revisit Tombstone. If you want my thoughts on that one, check out the entire show because I think it's one of our best. Next up, because I am a big fan of the rewatchables as well, they did Marathon Man this month, and I wanted to rewatch Marathon Man before the show, and man, that Marathon Man is such a good movie. Kristen Zell, I just love the movie. I mean, are you safe? I'm not the world's biggest Dustin Hoffman fan, so that kind of always drags this movie down for me, and a lot of great movies like The Graduate, just because that's something about Dustin Hoffman. You know, he's got like that nervous, twitchy kind of guy, and he always kind of plays that, and I don't know, it kind of rubs me the wrong way. He's still a great actor, where it's like it's enough for me to always overlook that and watch the film for what they are. Roy Scheider pops up in this movie as well. And it's a great film. It's a great 70s thriller. I can highly recommend it if you've never seen it. Next up, our channel Bankroll Members' Choice review for the month, and that was Be Kind, Rewind, which I had never seen before. I recommend watching the video where I talk about this, you know, the Let's Talk review show, because this is a movie I'd never seen before, wanted to see it for a long time. Finally, Mr. Smelly Potato recommended it. I checked it out. This is one with a ton of heart. You know, all the movies in the store get erased, so they have to remake them themselves. And, you know, it's basically about guerrilla filmmaking. You know, it doesn't matter the quality of the film. It's the heart that goes into the film. And personally, I absolutely love this movie. It was a fantastic film. Next up, the original Dawn of the Dead from 1978, directed by George A. Romero. Like I said, this is one of my favorite zombie films of all time. I enjoy the practical effects about it. Go and watch the original versus remake if you want my full thoughts on this one in comparison to the remake. I just think that this one, you know, the special effects of the time, yes, but I think they really work. I think they're very charming. I get the complaints. I understand the complaints, but for me, this one will always be a classic. Next one up is Kevin Kruger's director review for the month, Wick in Pain. And this is basically a glorified making-of documentary about the John Wick franchise, which Kevin Kruger clearly knows me because I'm a huge fan of making-of documentaries, and you give me a feature-length one like this with everybody involved in making the first John Wick film and then its sequels, yeah, I'm all in on that, and I absolutely loved it. Next up, Goldfinger, which is, of course, one of the classic James Bond films. Some would argue it is the best James Bond film, and I can see that. This is where the formula is perfected. You get a great Bond villain. You get a great Bond girl in Pussy Galore. You get a great henchman in Odd Job. You got it all in here. Great set pieces, Fort Knox. Anything you could ever want in a James Bond film is in Goldfinger. I can see why many people consider this one of the best, and I do think it's Sean Connery's best. Next up, another one for the Let's Talk Movies podcast, which you guys will be able to see next Friday. Dog Day Afternoon, directed by Sidney Lumet, starring Al Pacino, John Cazale. This is a great 1970s film, very much of the 1970s, very much a Sidney Lumet film. He's just able to always capture the tone. It feels like a hot day in summer, very much like 12 Angry Men. It's all captured perfectly in one of the best bank robbery films of all time. Next up, Dark City. Revisited this one because of the Arrow 4K Blu-ray release. Absolutely love this film. Always lives in the shadow, which is funny, of The Matrix because it'll never be able to hit those heights, but Dark City on its own is a great sci-fi noir film that I recommend you guys check out. Next up, To Live and Die in LA. Like I said, I watched a lot of William Friedkin movies this month, and this is one of my favorite Friedkin films. This is one I always enjoyed the soundtrack done by Wang Chung. It looks fantastic, feels very much like the 1980s, of course, takes place in 1980s Los Angeles. William Peterson, between this and Manhunter, I mean, he had a fantastic 1980s. I know most people remember him from CSI, and I don't ever think he's like the world's greatest actor, but there is some sort of charm to him, and I think it works best in this kind of film. Of course, Willem Dafoe in this film, he's fantastic. The scene where he's making the counterfeit money is just chef's kiss beauty of a scene. Next up, Mrs. Doubtfire. This is one of Robin Williams' best films. Me and my wife want to just sit down and watch a comedy from our childhood. Both of us, children of divorce, so this speaks right to us. One of Robin Williams' most heartfelt and funny performances. Really, the guy's great with voices. The scene where he's getting to play all those great characters and everything. I do a great impression of a hot dog. I love that. Do you consider yourself funny, Mr. Hillard? Well, I used to. But today, you have proven me wrong. There's just so many. Harvey Firestein is great in this movie. We talked a lot about Bond. I mean, hey, we get what I consider to be the best James Bond, or at least my favorite, just because, this is the Bond I grew up with, Pierce Brosnan. He's great in this movie as well. You think he's a terrible stepdad? Guy is a fucking saint. He really is in this movie. Next up, we got 28 Years Later, which is the movie I watched just before I actually started filming this. I literally got home from the movies. I had to see this before this video came out. Made sure I got to see it. Movie is fantastic. I can see the complaints. I understand the complaints, but for me, there's not many movies that come out anymore that give me an emotional reaction. There's a scene towards the end of this film that actually made me tear up. It was beautiful. The lead actor, the child actor, he's so good. He's clearly got a big future ahead of him. There's going to be a trilogy of movies, which they do set up at the end of this movie. I'm not going to spoil it, but that was a big talking point. I think a little over-exaggerated, but I understand the complaints. This movie is an emotional roller coaster. I think it's a different movie than what a lot of people were expecting, but if you've seen 28 Days Later, I don't think it's that surprising of what this movie is. Overall, I absolutely loved it. I'm sure I'm going to love it even more. We'll talk more about that when the 4K comes out. Next up, you saw how low I had the Stepfather remake. Well, I consider the Stepfather, the original from 1987, one of the best horror films of the 1980s. Almost a masterpiece. I love how this movie looks. It's just one of the best looking films of the 1980s in general. It had an artistic vision. Terry O'Quinn is great as the title character of the Stepfather. This guy just, if you disappoint him, he's going to murder the entire family and go start over somewhere. Basic premise of the movie. Seems silly. Watch the movie, and I'm guarantee you'll have an absolute blast. Next up, another one that got a new 4K Blu-ray release, The Nice Guys, directed and written by Shane Black, the guy who makes just great buddy comedy films, and you team up Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe, and you end up with a great noir comedy that takes place in the 1970s, really nails the 1970s as well. Great supporting character performances by people like Kim Basinger, which is funny to see her. And Margaret Qualley pops up in this movie. Very young Margaret Qualley. Academy Award nominated Margaret Qualley. So really good movie if you've never seen it. At this point, it has a huge cult following, but I still feel like not enough people have seen The Nice Guys. Check that one out. Next up, and this one has passed To Live and Die in LA as my second favorite William Friedkin film, and that is Sorcerer. I rewatched it for the 4K Blu-ray review. Absolutely love this film. It really is a masterpiece. Obviously it had a flawed production. When it got released, it was a commercial and critical failure, but I think now people are starting to realize this movie was just well crafted, well made, well acted, checks so many different boxes. A great product of the 1970s. The Tangerine Dream score is fantastic. It's one that, if the 50% off sales going on in the Criterion Collection right now at Barnes & Noble, this is one you gotta grab if you can. I mean, it literally just came out and you can get it for 50% off, and it's an absolute steal. Next up, I got Back to the Future. Me and my wife just wanted to revisit this one, and it's a classic. I mean, Robert Zemeckis. There's so much I have said about this movie. I don't want to, repeat so many things, and you know how good Back to the Future is. Just check out me and David, a.k.a. Shamrock Balls, episode on it if you want all my thoughts. And next up, Point Break. Point Break is one of my favorite movies of the 1990s in general. One of the best heist films of all time. Basically they remade this movie and called it The Fast and the Furious, but the original's the original. Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze, they have insane chemistry. Patrick Swayze was born to play Bodhi. Keanu Reeves, we've seen him play this role before. We'll see him play this role again. But there's just something about Bodhi in this movie. It's got such great charm, this film. Such great direction, such great style. Just very much of the 1990s. I mean, the Red Hot Chili Peppers pop up in this movie and everything. It's just so good. If you've never seen this movie, I'm going to keep praising it forever. Check this one out. And at number 2, I got Jurassic Park, one of my all-time favorite films. Of course, if I'm revisiting this film and I rewatched it for, the new 4K Blu-ray that came out, and I had already watched it 2 months ago, it never gets old. I mean, the music is beautiful. Some of the best scenes in film history. It's directed by Steven Spielberg. You know how good Jurassic Park is. And that brings us to number 1, which is one of my all-time favorite films. So this one actually places higher than Jurassic Park, but also got a new 4K Blu-ray release this month, and that's 1987's Lethal Weapon. I just love this movie. I can go on and on about my love for Lethal Weapon. The director's cuts on that new 4K Blu-ray release, do not watch that. I highly recommend you avoid that. The theatrical cut is the perfect cut. It's absolutely the one you should see. Riggs and Murtaugh, two of the best in the buddy cop genre, and you get to see him for the first time in this film. It's a goddamn masterpiece in my opinion. Definitely check out Lethal Weapon if you've never seen it. But that's my list. What did you guys think? Did I put some films a little too high? Did I put some films a little too low? Let me know in the comment section below. And while you guys are down there, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this video if you could. We also have channel membership, so if you want to become a friend of the channel, or a producer for the channel like John Doe Juggalo and Ben Rondo, you can do that. Become a channel director like Uncle V, Kevin Kruger, Nicholas Head, and Frank from Frank's Media and Reviews. You can do that as well. Or you can even become a channel bankroll member like Mr. Smelly Potato and have your choice video every other month. But of course, guys, no pressure at all. If you have no money to throw away, don't you worry about it. I just hope you enjoy the video. And if you did, get out in those streets, tell your friends about us, and then we'll be seeing you around.